Hello, friends and family. This episode is the last episode for season 2. So, before we get into it, I want you to know that I am an advocate for your success and wellness, not only to be financial well or well in your career, but to be well in all areas holistically. And my heartbeat is for you to learn the simple things in life that allows you to navigate. But one thing you must understand is if you have no vision, you have no goal, all of these lessons that you learn here are pointless, will devoid you of any movement or of any succession. So do not learn these lessons for general knowledge, but create a goal for yourself. What is the next step for you? And then allow these lessons to move you forward. Let's get into the show.
Your life is the byproduct of your thinking. I created this show to give you tactics that will enhance your thinking so that you can live a life of freedom instead of a life of bitterness. To be well, you must think well. Here is your mind-molding tactic.
A person can only proceed in hard times when the only option they have is to proceed. Then progressive action must be taken. This is called the point of no return. This is the idea that we only proceed when our circumstance is aligned for movement, be that internal or external. Success, succession, movement, steps forward, inertia. These things are the laws that say that movement comes when your environment allows movement to exist. Right? You ever see people that they do not understand how to even proceed a little bit? They can't comprehend a little bit, right? It's not because they don't want it. No, most people do want it. Most people do not want to be spiritually poor, right? Most people desire to have God in their life, but they do not understand. And it's not because of them, because their environment, their spiritual environment, they're blinded, right? And so the point is, you do not proceed through anything until your environment is aligned externally and internally towards that which you want to proceed towards. So the first idea is the point of no return. This is the whole idea that you will not ever move towards anything hard, because good things do not come easy, but hard things, right? If you want something well in life that is meaningful, you normally have to pay a price for that thing. But the tension between you and that thing causes us to become stagnant. So when we are in that moment, when we are before the thing that we fear the most, we probably will not go forward. But when you are in a point of no return, which means you are in a situation where you cannot retreat even if you wanted to. Even if you wanted to run the other way, there's no way. It's impossible because you can't do it. This is you manually structuring an environment that doesn't allow you to fail. Point of no return. Once you're at this point, you have to move forward because you can't return back to your old ways, back to the things you want to do, back previously to the mindset you had before, or the things you subscribed to, the ideas you had before, the behaviors you had before that didn't add up to the person that you wanted to become. You have to manufacture an environment where you have moments where you can't return into old moments. Shall I repeat that? You have to manufacture environments where you have moments where you cannot return to old moments, even if you wanted to. Point of no return means I cannot return. I have to move forward. There's a story that the Japanese ships came over and they were going to attack. And I'm sure I'm butchering this, but the idea they were going to attack, and what the Japanese done was they blew up their ships once they landed on the foreign ground. And once they blew up their ships, the only choice they had was to attack. They couldn't return because they manufactured an environment by blowing up their ships where the only choice they had was to move forward. And most times in life, why we fail or we fall short of the goal or the vision or the promise is because we create other lanes that doesn't add up to what we say we want. For another example, if you are married or you believe in marriage, as I do, having separate banking accounts, for example, because you are worried that if you split up, you need a backup plan, you are creating an alternate route to divorce, to split up. You have an easier path to do that thing you don't want to do. And so the goal is to get into positions in life where you don't have multiple lanes, but you have only one lane in your life that points towards the thing you want to do most. Don't overcomplicate this. This is very important. Do not overcomplicate it. Have one lanes, point of no return. I'm going forward. Other lanes in life does not matter. We become distorted and confused because we have too many decisions to make, which is decision fatigue in psychology. Do not do that for yourself. Lesson number 2, cost of inaction. What we're talking about here, this whole lesson here on this episode, is to position yourself in a way where you take action, where you get things done. What you do the hard things in your life so that you can see some kind of results that is meaningful. Be that at home with your spouse or your kids or your family, be that in your career, be that in your community, whatever it may be for you to do the thing. But it's important that you learn to do the hard thing. This is it, guys. This is it. I'm going to leave you with this nugget and then we're done for 3 months. Cost of inaction. If you are in a situation when things get hard, because we're talking about hard things here, when things get hard, if you have no price to pay for doing nothing, then you will automatically do nothing. Because if you sit there and do nothing and there's no negative result in your life, why would you sit there and do something? But if you get into a situation or position where if you do nothing, you will die, there's a good chance you will do something. So all of this matters in a way where you have to manufacture this environment manually. It doesn't happen automatically. Create an environment of yourself where you have to pay a price. If you meet short on the stick, if you meet short on the go, or even if you do nothing, you have to pay a price. And the more you do that, the more you make it an environment. It's not about trying to discipline yourself, be hard on yourself over and over again. No, it's about creating an environment that doesn't allow you to fail. Because we are humans. Our heart desires the wrong things. Our minds desire the wrong things. We desire the wrong things. So we cannot rely on our own willpower, but the things in life that will take us forward. So cost of inaction is you have a cost for inaction, for not taking action, for not acting towards the thing you say you want the most. Cost of inaction. You have to create this environment to allow yourself to move forward, because once the environment is created correctly, it is a vehicle that will drive you towards the goals that you want to have. Last thing, third and last thing for the season, and you must understand this and be very honest and vulnerable with yourself. Your desire to change must be greater than your desire to remain the same. This here is the linchpin. This here is the overall, encaps all 3 of these together, is that at the end of the day, your desire to change, your desire to progress, your desire to hit that goal or even get through the mess has to be greater than your desire to remain comfortable. If you do not have the level of desire to change over to remain the same, you will not progress. It can't happen. It won't happen. Even if you take a step forward, it won't be sustainable, because when the brick wall hits you, you turn the other way. So do not allow yourself to try to have vision or even have the vision, but do not want it. Because if you don't want it, it may not be what is important for you. It may not be your calling, it may not be your mission, and it may not be your goal. If you don't understand those 3, then go to the previous episode when we talked about those 3. But you must understand, if you are not being pulled towards a thing, you may not be aligned towards that thing. And so it doesn't mean that thing is not important for you or meaningful to you or your calling. It means that you are distorted and not connected to that which is important. You're disconnected. You need to get away and get reconnected to what matters. And so learn this, dissect this, and digest this for yourself. Your desire to change must be greater than your desire to remain the same until you are at that point. Until you are at that point. Until you are there, you will not progress. You will not take a step forward, and you will live in a life of stagnatism and inaction. And lastly, the first one is you must have a circumstance or an environment where you have a point of no return moment, where you have no choice but to move forward. And then you must manufacture an environment where you pay a price if you do not act or you do not do something. And lastly, at the end of the day, when you go to bed at night, your desire to change must be greater than your desire to be the same. That's all I have for you, team. I'll see you in 3 months. Thank you.